To introduce our speaker in a moment, I'll invite club member Eric Corning with classification of cultural institutions to the podium. But first, here's some fun facts about Eric. He joined Seattle 4 in 2019. He's a local, having been raised in Bothell. He played the sousaphone in the Husky Marching Band and has worked for Seafair for over 22 years. Rotary is inspiring to Eric as he watches how we can organize and create change quickly. Examples include support for Ukraine, as well as our support of the revitalization of downtown Seattle. During our question and answer segment for the speaker, club member Ken Colling with classification Human and Community Services will be our roving microphone handler in the ballroom. You want to get Ken's eye if you want to ask a question. Club Sergeant at Arms Ken Grant will recognize the Zoom chat questions and present them on behalf of our Zoom participants. And now to introduce today's main program, here's Eric Corning.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm really honored to be able to introduce Beth Knox today. She has been a mentor, a friend, and my boss for many of years that I've been in the events industry. And she has been a leader in all of the roles that she's had over the years, from working at Seafair and inventing new events such as a Bellevue Downtown Balloon Parade that existed in the 90s, working with One Reel, working at Teatro Zinzani, a whole number of jobs along the way where she's innovated and be able to make things amazing. Her most recent leap to the Sports Commission is one I'm really excited about. It's really the right place for her. She's going to share more about what she's up to here, but the MLB All-Star Game and the other Final Four, or excuse me, not Final Four, the other basketball games that are coming from the college tournament, they're just the tip of the iceberg. And again, Beth, thank you so much for your friendship and your mentorship over the years. And here she is, Beth Knox.
Thanks, Eric. You know, I feel like Eric and I have been partners more than anything over the years, and he's been right there for many of the innovations along the way. And it's something that we are very good at, we enjoy doing, and I think we're going to start doing more of that in the sports world. So, okay, John made me really nervous about this clicker now, but let's see if we can. Right. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so make sure I'm on the right one here. So the vision of the Seattle Sports Commission is that Greater Seattle region is a world-class sports market. Now we have a mission to enhance this region's economy and quality of life through the power of sports. Now, if you're new or unfamiliar to the Sports Commission, our organization is committed to cultivating a sports environment, excuse me, that strengthens the Seattle region. It's a culture that pursues opportunities to host premier competitions, celebrates our athletes and athletic accomplishments, as well as our sports events, industry leaders, and the journalists who capture all of those moments. It's a culture that bolsters our local economy and advocates for equity in sports, all while promoting our Emerald City pride. I see the Sports Commission as an intersection of sports and business, of tourism and hospitality, and of local government and our community organizations, for instance, like Seafair, the DSA, the Chamber of Commerce, all of these entities that come together. And we also involve the venues where our sports teams play, the sports teams themselves, and the university athletic departments that are part of the sports network. And we work together with all of these entities to attract and acquire premier sporting events to come to our region. But the Sports Commission has another role, and that's to serve as a leader and advocate for our pro sports franchises, the universities, the events, and those venues that are so committed to bringing great sports to this region. Now, the Sports Commission is a member-based organization, very similar to Rotary or the DSA. We have 130 commissioners who want to help shape our region's sports landscape and strategy. because they also believe in the power of sports as a key component of being a world-class destination. And when I first joined, came on to the Sports Commission, it was April of 2020. And we had been a department of Visit Seattle, our Convention Visitors Bureau here. We'd been a member of or a department of that organization for nearly 20 years. And we'd been contemplating shifting out as an independent entity for some time. And the pandemic just expedited that decision for a variety of reasons. And it's been a great opportunity for the Sports Commission to still work very closely with Visit Seattle and all of our partners, but it also allows us the autonomy to pursue things that may not have a direct connection to hotel room nights in tourism. Now, we care very much about that, but we also care about youth sports, community engagement, bringing people back downtown that might be indirectly related to those hotel room nights. So when I started in April of 2020, one of the first things that I did was reach out to all the sports leaders in the greater Seattle area and asking them if they were talking to each other through the pandemic and helping to support one another. And of course, you had a number of them that, these two were talking together and these two, but no one was coming together as a group. And none of them were also talking to local government. So I convened a call early on with all of our pro sports teams leaders and then representatives from the governor's office, the county, and the mayor's office. And we came together to talk about how do we get through this pandemic together. And I know many of you did the same thing with your organizations, finding your colleagues who could help us get through this. And after that first call, I said, was this helpful? Do you want to do it again? And Adrian Hanauer from the Sounders said, yes, and can we do it every week? It's like, sure. So we actually just recently, we did it weekly all through 2020 and 21, and just recently shifted to a monthly call. But we continued that connection because it had established a relationship and a very special bond between all of our teams. And I wanted to mention that in particular because we are in an unusual circumstance here with our teams and how much that they collaborate with each other. So they commiserated through the pandemic, they cheered each other on, and they freely shared their best practices and all of the things that they needed for each other to be successful. It's a pretty incredible thing that we have. The other thing that I've been doing recently is working with the city of Seattle to create what we call Region Ready. So the city is the starting point, and then we'll go to the county and state, but it's creating an infrastructure that involves all the people at the city and a local government so that when we can decide, first assessing which events should we go after, and then who should be part of that decision, whether we bid on that event, and then who needs to be at the table for the planning and execution once we've been awarded. So from there, I wanted to, this is just a highlight of where the Sports Commission is in comparison to some of our colleagues. And it's just a way to show, our population is at the top there. That's how I've ranked these. But you can see that we are still a very small organization. We're growing, and that is something that is exciting for us because there is so much opportunity and potential in our region right now. I need more people on my team to help us get there. All right, so what does the Sports Commission do specifically? So we have our signature events, and one of them is Sports Star of the Year. Wait, am I on the right one? Yeah. Our Sports Star of the Year is our annual event where we recognize the accomplishments of our athletes and teams from the last season. And that event is actually going to take place next Thursday at the Westin Hotel, and it's really bringing together the community of sports and fans who want to recognize all of the individuals. We also do our Women's Leadership Breakfast, and that takes place in the fall, and that is really a showcase of incredible women leaders in our community. Of course, it's open to all. And we bring those women together who have demonstrated their professional development through sports in one way or another. So it could be an athlete or a coach or an executive in the sports industry. Some of our annual events that we support, Seafair, as of course we have the hydroplane race, the air show, and if anyone doesn't think that flying one of those Blue Angel jets is a competitive sport, you should put on that G suit. But we have the Torchlight Run and the Triathlon, a lot of sporting events that take place every year. The Rock and Roll Marathon is another one that is something that we count on every year. And the awarded events that we have, you may have, some of you, I know Dominic was following the Clipper Race Around the World yacht race that was here just a few weeks ago. And this is an international race that is a 40,000 nautical mile race, literally around the world. And Seattle was their first port of call. It was very exciting to have these 70-foot yachts come into Elliott Bay and have all of those individuals, the majority of the crew members are amateurs who receive training to go out on a 4 to 6 week leg of the trip. And it's an incredible opportunity for amateurs to have that kind of experience. And then the next group will come in to Seattle, and then they take the yachts on to the next leg of the trip. So it's an exciting event, and that happens every 2 years. The Premier Lacrosse Club is a tour, is something that is coming to our region for the first time. They will be competing down in the Tacoma Dome. We're excited to have them here. It's a great touring competition. And then the awarded events for 2023. The highlight, as you heard, is 2023 MLB All-Star Game. This was announced last October, and we are very excited to have an event of that magnitude coming to Seattle, bringing hundreds of thousands of visitors to downtown. And I'm really using that event as a launch pad for the rest of the events that you're going to hear about. It's, John talked about the optimism for bringing Seattle back from a vibrancy standpoint, and I completely believe that as well. We need more people to be downtown, and we need those visitors here to bring back that energy and excitement and really showcase our city. And All-Star Week is the first opportunity to do that in a really major way. Now, All-Star is no longer just a single game. It's a whole week of activities and a lot of free elements as well as ticketed events. So it's going to be a great way for people to be involved in a national scale event. Thank you, Ken. So we also have our National Gay Flag Football Gay Bowl Tournament. That was recently awarded to us. That's going to play out at Magnuson Park in 2023 in October. We're excited to have that one with us. And we fall of 2020, the NCAA announced the awards for championship events to host cities around the country. And we were given 5 of them. This December, we will host the D2 Sports Festival, which is a multi-sport event that will take place at multiple locations. In March of 23, we will have the Division I Women's Basketball Regional at Climate Pledge Arena. And we're really excited to have that one here. There's so much momentum right now around basketball, especially with that amazing venue that we have in Climate Pledge Arena. And then in March of 2025, we'll have the Division I Men's and Women's Swim and Dive Championships. And the Division I Men's Basketball Regionals in March. We'll have the first and second rounds for that. So again, lots of basketball coming our way, and I know what you're all thinking. Yes, me too. So let's see. What does that say? That's okay, here we go. So I have active bids that are currently in progress right now that I'm working on. The AVP Beach Volleyball Tournament used to be out at Sammamish State Park. The pandemic caused that to go on hiatus. We are actively looking for a new location for that. It could be out at Sammamish again, or it could be somewhere else. So we are working on bringing that event back to the region. Again, the Clipper Yacht Race, we will bring back in April of '24. Men's cricket, right? Oh, thank you, our Aussie. Actually, I got to tell you, cricket is enormous in this region. It is so popular. Go out on the Microsoft campus and they are playing cricket all the time. There's going to be a new cricket stadium built in Marymore Park, and they are actively working on bringing the World Cup for men's cricket. Seattle will have a professional cricket team as well. So that's exciting. The WNBA All-Star Game. This is exciting. This is women's All-Star Game, and that bid is in progress right now for 2024 or 25. So we'll wait to hear about that one. Who's excited about FIFA World Cup? Maybe coming here, right? So we are just a few weeks away from that announcement. FIFA is expected to make an announcement in middle of June 15th, June 16th, somewhere in there. So now, don't hold me to that date. It was going to be in January. So, but I do think that we are going to hear in June, and I remain optimistic that Seattle will be one of the 10 host cities that are announced to host tournaments. And we could host as many as, between 4 and 7 tournaments here. So that is just an incredible opportunity that will transform our city. The NCAA Women's Final Four, we're bidding on that. We'll know next week if we are a host city and what year, if we are awarded that. Men's Rugby World Cup in fall of 2031, and then Women's Rugby World Cup fall of 2033. So, that, right? Doesn't that seem like a million years away? And yet, it's going to come up fast. The FIFA World Cup planning, that bid was first submitted in 2017, just to give you some context there. So we're optimistic about all of these and believe that there's a long-term strategy here that can play a role in our region's, not just recovery, but the growth and thriving. So what's on the horizon? We have, these are bids that we haven't yet submitted, but we are exploring right now. So the U.S. Olympic dive trials down at the King County Aquatic Center in Federal Way for 2024. The Seahawks and the Sports Commission have signed an expression of interest in hosting an NFL draft in 26 to 29. We do know that we will, as soon as it's open by the NCAA, they will open up the next 5-year bid cycle for the next round of championship events, and we will be bidding on a number of those events. The Frozen Four, the U.S. Women's World Cup for soccer, the NHL draft, that's just, right, that's obvious, we need to have that here. Figure skating and all sorts of skating events, those are real opportunities for us, given the community iceplex up at Northgate as well as the arena. And then Army-Navy game, that's just one of my personal favorites. It is something I've been anxious to start to work on. Bill will have to talk about that, and Jimmy. Yes, I realize that. That's exactly what we need to do. But it is exciting to have those opportunities. Okay, so what does it all mean? I mentioned economic impact, that's a priority. We need to have that infusion of revenue into our city. The hotel room nights, the restaurant visits, tourism increasing. And as I mentioned, it's that vibrancy in downtown. When we have that energy and the bodies that are here, and we start to outweigh some of those unsavory characters, that's when the tipping point will occur, and we will be able to restore some of that great vibrancy that we are used to downtown. I believe that these kinds of sporting events also adds to the identity of our city. When you think about if someone from New Orleans or from Michigan or Florida, when they think about coming to Seattle on their next trip, how do they see us? What do they think about? What do they want to attend while they are here? What do they want to visit? And we know that there's, of course, the Space Needle and the waterfront and some of these attractions. And what else? can we have a draw that where people start to plan their vacations around these big sporting events that also allows them to visit all of those attractions and has a real compelling reason for them to be here? So I will just wrap up by saying that one of our biggest obstacles right now is that elephant in the room, and that is having a safe and welcoming environment for all of these visitors. So to that end, I am working really closely with the mayor's office and the city of Seattle to accomplish that. Deputy Mayor Yamaguchi has been assigned by the mayor to sports is one of her categories, one of her responsibilities. And she and I have a bi-monthly meeting, standing meeting, where we talk about what do we need next? How are we going to shift this into a place that is exactly what we want, safe and welcoming. So we are going to continue on that path and work hard to bring these events here and keep this momentum up. There is so much pride and excitement around our sports teams that this is something we want to build on. So it's exciting. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Back here.
Who's ready? If we are the winning bidder, is there a cost to the city associated with winning that bid?
For any event?
For any event, yeah.
Yes, in many cases there is. It just depends on the caliber of the event, meaning how big it is. So Eric and I just recently bid on the Invictus Games to bring to Seattle in 2025. An incredible opportunity. It's an Olympic-style event for injured and wounded military. So we invested a fair amount of funds to execute on that bid. We had to fund the site visit where they came here. We went to London to present our bid. Jimmy went with us. We had a really great presentation and then didn't win it. So yes, there was a cost to that. Sometimes it is more paperwork that you're submitting for certain events. For instance, the NCAA events, there's rarely a cost up front for bidding on those. So it just depends on the activity. So, but I will say that one of the reasons why we didn't get the Invictus Games is because we didn't have that reserve of funds that is our backup, so that if we didn't sell all the sponsorship or raise the funds necessary to produce the event, that we would have that contingency to cover that shortfall. And of course, any organization wants to have that confidence that we can play out and carry out our plans. So that's something that we need to have from local government, helping to invest in those bids so that we have a stronger guarantee to get it.
Is there an effort to engage youth from Seattle Public Schools in any of the activities you have described?
Well, it is a great question, and the answer is yes. So almost all of our events always will have a youth sports category to it, and many of them will have a legacy component where we can give back to the youth sports community. But we work hard to find events that have free and affordable activities for families and youth sports, where we can either bring in clinics or camps or access tickets to some of these events so that they can then see themselves potentially on that stage in the future as an adult.
Hi, Dennis Williams. When you showed all the different events that are coming up, I didn't see my favorite sport on that list. I'm a little hurt. But I'm just curious, how do you determine like what sports you focus on when it comes to, obviously sports is very broad. So how do you determine what sports you focus on?
Well, in the past, we haven't had a system. And so we are in the process of developing that criteria, because you could bid on every event and you could expend a lot of resources, and then you either overburden your city, and that's something I'm very sensitive to. You know, the Rugby World Cup that I mentioned originally, that they had came to me and said, could we do this in 2027? And I said, I'm not comfortable with that. If we are awarded the FIFA World Cup in 26, Doing back-to-back World Cups is a significant impact. So that was more instinct than anything, but we're in the process of developing an assessment tool so that we can have very specific criteria to make those decisions. So what's your favorite event, Dennis? Tennis. Yes, tennis comes with really big licensing fees. So that's just a reality. I agree with you. I would love some of the big tennis tournaments. So we'll work on that.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Jan.
So back in, I think it was 2017, I had the wonderful opportunity to sit on the committee that selected the OVG group to develop what is now Climate Pledge Arena. And and you alluded to this, but I'm going to bring it up again. One of the things we talked a lot about with them is what is the possibility of bringing a new NBA team here?
Jan wins the prize for asking the question. So yeah, it's a fabulous question. And what I can tell you is this, Jan, there's a lot of basketball already happening in this community and in the arena. And you can feel it building, right? We had Gonzaga versus Alabama in Climate Pledge Arena. The Storm is now where they rightfully deserve to play in Climate Pledge Arena. We're going to have the women's basketball regionals next spring. And all of this is part of what we need to do to keep saying subtly to the NBA, we're ready. Seattle is ready. We have a venue. We have a community that is really committed to basketball. And that's what they need to see. They obviously have other things that they need to prepare for. And I feel like we're making progress in that, but the thing that we can control is being ready. And that's what I'm focused on, is how do we keep building that basketball community and the momentum around it.
Can you talk about the infrastructure needs for our region that would strengthen the bids?
Yeah, well, like I alluded to earlier about this local organizing committee org chart, if you will. And it is a system by which we can say, here's the event we think we should bid on here in Seattle. And then we take it to the decision makers, whether that's, and it would be a group of them, could be the majority owner and the CEO of a professional sports team, of a venue, and the mayor, the governor, whoever is, how significant the event is. We would start with that executive group. Once they bought off on it, then we go to the policy tier, and that group is the one that says, okay, so our bosses have said we're going to do this event, and if these are the requirements, what do we need to do to make sure that we can fulfill that? And then the last tier is the operations team. So that's SDOT or SPD, fire, all of these departments who would then work with the working group, local organizing committee, to execute. So that infrastructure hasn't been in place before, and we are implementing it as we speak, and that will be rolled out here probably in the next few months, and be ready so that when we have that criteria list, that evaluation process, we'll marry that with this infrastructure to execute.
Ken asked me to stand. I'm not showing off my seersucker suit. Beth, you did such a brilliant job with Seafair and the Special Olympics. I remember talking with you at Seafair about the challenges of the log boom. Every job you have had has miserable headaches, and we never see them because you're so smooth. I'm curious about some of your challenges and headaches in this assignment.
Well, thanks for that question, Bob. The live event business is inherent with challenges. It's just when Eric and I were working with John Scholes on these welcome back block parties, they're concerts that are outdoors. And Governor Gregoire is emailing us saying, the weather doesn't look good. Yeah, right. But we have a process, right? We have a contingency plan for that. And of course, I completely reassured her, I got it, it's all good. I'm the weather person. I'm just kidding. But, so the challenges that we have are what I mentioned before, making sure that our city is safe and welcoming. And it's also a critical component is from that safety and security standpoint, we need to have enough officers with the Seattle Police Department who can manage to control these events. It is an absolutely critical piece. And yes, they need to be trained. and trained well, but we need to have the numbers. We are so deficient in our numbers of police officers that we are not able to, I mean, it's even a push to try to do events like Seafair, let alone a FIFA World Cup. So we're working with them to overcome those kinds of challenges. But otherwise, it's the funding. That's a big thing that we're going to focus on so that we can build this community bid fund, if you will, where that allows us to go after some of these bigger events. And even if it is just saying we've got the reserves here, should we need it, that is a huge vote of confidence when they are deciding that we can that we should be awarded a bid. But those are, you know, the things that are going for us is this amazing collaboration and desire by everyone in our community to be part of it. I get comments all the time, sign me up, I want to help. I'm a transportation expert, put me on the committee, I'll just help. So we really have something that is of significant value, and that is the strength of our community. So that's very exciting. That helps to balance some of the challenges.
Beth, congratulations on getting the Sports Commission off to such a smooth start. I'm just curious, you touched on it a little bit, but what have you found most surprising in this 18-month journey that you've been launching this? And is there any sort of like National Sports Commission gathering where you can network with other colleagues to share best practices?
Well, that question, that latter one is very timely. There is a national organization, it's called Sports ETA, Sports Entertainment and Tourism Association. But that's a little more focused on like Visit Seattle, more destination management organizations. I haven't attended that conference yet, partly because it's been virtual, but we have assembled a group of what we call my peers of large market sports commissions. So there's about 25 of us, and we are literally doing that, a mini conference, if you will, next week, going to Washington, DC, where my predecessor, Ralph Morton, is actually convening the group, and we will do exactly that, share our best practices. But I think the most surprising thing that I have found that is a pleasant surprise, and it speaks to that collaboration and the willingness that I saw at every turn by our community, the organizations, the pro teams, saying, here's the MLB playbook for operating our venue during the pandemic. Here's what the Seahawks are doing to make sure that this is safe. And they shared those practices so freely, and it just really made me proud. And it's something that I didn't have a full appreciation for until I was in this job. So it's really exciting to see that. Thank you very much.
Beth, thank you for joining us as our featured speaker today. I particularly enjoyed your insights on how the Seattle sports teams are partnering with the hospitality industry to bring interesting events to the Emerald City. In recognition of your program with Seattle 4, we've contributed to Harvest Against Hunger, a Rotary District 5030 project, as well as a nonprofit that provides healthy meal components to regional food banks. 600 servings of fresh produce have been given in honor of your presentation.